Here are today's top news happenings and why they matter. Mixed reactions have greeted a Malawian court decision to allow extradition of fugitive preacher Shepherd Bushiri to South Africa, where he faces charges of fraud, money laundering and rape. The self-proclaimed prophet, however, has welcomed the ruling as a tremendous victory from God, celebrating the fact that the number of charges against him was reduced from 13 to 3. DW's Simeone Padata tells us why this story matters.
Malawians are still discussing the court ruling on the self-proclaimed prophet. Some see this development as a victory for justice, while others believe it is politically motivated or an attack on a religious leader. You see, George, this case is a test of Malawi's judicial independence and its commitment to international legal cooperation. It also raises broader questions about accountability for influential religious figures accused of financial and sexual misconduct. But George, let's hear from some Malawians about this latest development.
Bushiri, he must not go. He's a Malawian. We need to protect him.
We are all human, right? Even like preachers do mistakes. Yeah, if the world doesn't forgive him, hey, God does.
There you have it, George. Back to you in Bonn.
And many thanks, Simeone Padata, for that. Sticking to the southern parts of the continent, and South Africa's revised budget has hit a roadblock, with major political parties rejecting Finance Minister's plan even after he scaled back a proposed VAT increase. The deadlock leaves the multi-party coalition government scrambling for a solution and raises the stakes for South Africa's political future. DW's Tuso Kumalo tells us why this story matters.
George, let's first begin with why Treasury says VAT increase is necessary. The government insists that new and persistent spending pressures on health, education and transport require additional revenue. But George, this move is likely to raise the cost of living as consumers pay more for goods, including food and services. And that is why the biggest coalition partner, the Democratic Alliance, DA, has firmly opposed any permanent tax increases. But more importantly, George, is that the budget plan by the Finance Ministry will now be debated by parliamentary committees in the coming weeks. If Parliament rejects it, new elections are convened and the administration resigns. And here is what some South Africans think of this current quagmire.
If the government is collapsing, let it collapse. We will start afresh and see what's happening next, because now it's really very, very, very bad.
We are already suffering as a nation. You want to put us more down. You worried about America, you are worried about Europe, you are worried. What about our country?
Many thanks, Thuso. The big question remains, will the coalition survive this crisis, or is this the beginning of deeper instability? And finally, to some sports, Atletico Madrid coach Diego Simeone has cast suspicion on the decision to rule out Julian Alvarez penalty in his team's Champions League defeat by Real Madrid last night. Real won 4-2 on penalties after a 2-2 aggregate in the last 16 tie, with Alvarez slipping as he scored in the shootout. So here is the thing about penalties. Once a player strikes the ball, they cannot touch it again until another player has played it. If a shooter accidentally makes a second contact, like Alvarez did when he slipped, it is considered an infringement and the penalty is disallowed. Also important to note, in the FIFA rules, when taking a penalty, the ball must move forward. A player can pass it to a teammate instead of shooting directly like Messi and Suarez did for Barcelona. And that being settled, who is playing who in the quarterfinals? Arsenal will face Real Madrid in the quarterfinals, while Aston Villa will play Paris Saint-Germain. The other quarterfinal ties will see Inter Milan play Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund face Barcelona. And that's all we had for you today. For more in-depth analysis of current happenings, subscribe to our YouTube channel, DW Africa. My name is George Okachi, and many thanks.